Okay.
Good evening and welcome to our council meeting for the municipality of West Perth. Before we get started this evening, I'll call the meeting to order, and I would ask that we start with a moment of reflection. Okay, thank you. First item then is confirmation of the agenda as it was circulated on the weekend. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Marshall and Councillor Rose, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Does anybody have a conflict of interest to declare at this time? Deputy Mayor Ait does. On section or item number?
It's in the closed session.
In the closed session? Okay.
I'll bring it up when we start.
Sure. Okay.
I have the letter here.
Yep, good. That's good, Doug. Okay, nobody else. Consent agenda, we have 8 items in the consent agenda, including the minutes from our November 1st meeting. Are there any questions in the consent agenda or anything that anybody would like a little more clarification on or would like dealt with separately? Okay, I don't see any hands going up, so a motion would be in order to accept the consent agenda. Moved by Councillor Bell and seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? That is carried. All right, so we do have a public meeting tonight with regards to a zoning bylaw amendment from Harry DeHaan, and we need a motion to adjourn our council meeting at 7:04 to go into the public meeting. Councillor Murray and Councillor Rose, that we adjourn our council meeting and go into a public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment. All those in favor? Okay, that is carried. So the public meeting is called to order at 8:05, and the public meeting is being held in accordance with Section 34 of the Planning Act. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest by any member of council? Okay, I don't see anything. At this time, I'll ask the clerk for the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. The purpose of this public meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth is to review the application for a proposed amendment to Bylaw 100-1998, the zoning bylaw of the Municipality of West Perth, and to allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or offer comments with regard to the applications. Council will not make a decision on the applications at this public meeting. Based on the recommendations and information received at this public meeting, amending zoning bylaw will be presented for approval at a regular council meeting later this evening. If any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the decision on the applications, they are to provide their name and mailing address and email to the clerk this evening via email at clerk@westperth.com. A person or public body may appeal a decision if they have made an oral submission at this public meeting or a written submission to council prior to the passing of the bylaws. Notice was given by mail to all landowners within 120 meters of the land affected by the bylaws and to those agencies as prescribed by regulation. A sign advertising tonight's meeting was posted on the property on October 26, 2021. Correspondence received following the posting of this notice will be presented by the planner, Susanna Reid.
Okay, thank you, Dan. As I stated before, this is a public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment. The application was initiated by Harry DeHaan on behalf of Joseph and Francine Luby and affects property described as Part Lot 8 and 25, Registered Plan 315, Reference Plan 44R 5878, Part 3, and the 911 address is 3998 Matilda Street in Dublin. I will now call upon Susanna Reid, planner for the municipality of West Perth, to review the application. Susanna?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Council. I have a few slides to walk you through the application. So as the Mayor has described, the property is in Dublin, and the red star shows the location of the property. This rezoning application is a condition of consent file. Oops, my slide's not continuing. Of a consent file that was considered by council in July of this year. The consent application was for a lot enlargement. And this is the area that was has been conditionally approved by consent to sever a 274 square foot property from this residential lot owned by the Lubies and added on to this commercial property, which is the location of Huron Tax Consultants. So the purpose of the rezoning is to change the zoning of this piece that's outlined in yellow from the Hamlet Village residential zone, which is the current zone as it's been part of a residential property, to a C2-9 zone, which is a special commercial zone, recognize a reduced rear yard setback. This is a, it's so funny that the slide won't advance. There is a photo of the property in your package with the planning report. And here it is on the screen as well. So the Huron Tax Consultants property, 3992 Matilda Street. And this is the Luby property, 3998 Matilda Street. This is the garage on the Luby property. So the piece that we're talking about is behind this part of the Huron Tax Consultants building. And that is proposed to be rezoned. There have been no public comments received as a result of the circulation. And the application conforms with the Perth County official plan. Planning department is recommending that the application for rezoning be approved. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. Okay, at this time, I will go into the more formal part of the public meeting. And I would ask if there is anybody, and I don't see anybody, but I'm going to ask if there's anybody other than the applicant or their agent in support of this application. And I see nothing coming up. Is there anybody in opposition to this application? And again, I don't see anything. Does the applicant or their agent, and I don't see their agent on here either, is there anybody in the agent or the applicant wish to say anything further at this time?
Sorry, the agent.
The agent is there, Walter.
Where am I supposed to look here?
He's the 21st person watching. He's an attendee.
Oh, okay, but he's not able to participate.
I'm trying to promote him into a panelist.
Okay, we're trying.
It's not letting me for some reason.
Okay, we seem to be having some technical problems here tonight. It's not letting Labitza bring him in.
Daniel, would you like to try?
Yeah, I'm trying.
There, he's in there now. Okay, Doug, I take it that you're the agent for the applicant.
That's correct. I'm just
Okay.
here to answer any questions that may be arising.
Okay, do you have anything further to add to what Susanna?
Nope,
has
it's
said?
very straightforward. I think Susanna covered everything.
Okay, very good. You can just stay there for a second if you wish.
Okay.
And I will ask if there's any questions from council or any general questions or particular questions with this application. Okay, I don't see anybody putting their hand up, so I think we're good. So I do thank you for joining us here. So I would like to thank those in attendance for their comments. Should council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendment, notice of passing will be provided as prescribed by the Planning Act and a 20-day appeal period to the local planning appeal tribunal. So I guess if there's nothing further for this public meeting, the council, the municipality of West Perth now closes this public meeting at 7:12 and reconvenes to a regular council meeting. And I need a mover and seconder for that if I can. Councillor Rose and Councillor Marshall, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, that brings us back to the, to our council meeting again. And under reports, the first item is the planning report from Susanna Reid, and it is with regards to what we just had the public meeting for. So Susanna, I'll turn it back over to you again.
Thank you very much, Mayor McKenzie. So this is a related application. So the rezoning that we just considered at the public meeting was for consent file B22. Following the conditional approval of the consent file to enlarge the Huron Tax Consultants property, a second consent application was submitted for easement purposes. And this was to allow an easement around the corner of the Huron Tax Consultants building, where I'm moving the cursor now. Again, this lot enlargement was to sever a piece from the Luby residential property, merge it onto Huron Tax Consultants because there's a well and an air conditioning unit here. And the easement is to allow the owners of the Huron Tax Consultant building to access the back part of that lot in order to service the well and air conditioning unit. And this is an air photo showing the red dotted line is the easement. The outline of the white line here is the earlier consent, B22 and 21. Again, the same, well, it's funny that I can exchange. So I can show you the same photo again of the property if my slides would advance. Here we go. So the easement is along the Levy driveway and around the back of the Huron Tax Consultant building. The municipal staff, operations, finance, and building have all reviewed the application for consent and are not recommending any conditions for this consent application. And the planning department is recommending that West Perth Council recommend to the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate that the consent for easement be approved with the standard conditions regarding describing and registering the easement on title. Those are my comments, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Susanna on that? Fairly straightforward. Okay, I do have a fairly lengthy recommendation here. With your permission, I'll just read the preamble, the first part, but I won't read the Perth County conditions. Is that okay with members of council? Okay, so the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth received a report entitled Application for Consent to Sever number B3421 by Harry Denhon on behalf of Joseph and Francine Luby, affecting lands described as lots 9 and 24 part of lots 8 and 25, plan 315, 3998 Matilda Street, Dublin, Hibbert Ward, Municipality of West Perth, and that the West Perth Council recommend to the County of Perth Land Division Committee approve the file B3421 application for consent for easement for lands described as lots 9 and 24, part of lots 8 and 25, plan 315, 3998 Matilda Street, Dublin, Hibbert Ward, Municipality of West Perth, subject to the following 2 conditions. And they are basically kind of the standard conditions for such a case. And if you're okay that I don't read them, then that's fine. I just need a mover and seconder for that recommendation.
I'll move that, Walter.
Moved by Councillor Vink and seconded by Councillor Bell. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. First report that we have is from the Chief Building Official, and it is the October permit summary. So Bob McLean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie. My report is submitted as follows. We have Had just over $1.7 million in construction value. There were 16 permits issued for those builds, and there were 7 zoning certificates issued for land transactions, mortgages on properties. Permits are listed.
Okay, any questions for Bob on with regards to the building permits? All right, any other burning issues for Bob at this time? Or that aren't burning? Okay, if not, motion that we accept the October building permit report for information. We have a mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Murray and Councillor Matheson. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Next report is from the fire chief, and it's the September-October activity report. So Chief Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight's activity report is for the months of September and October. As council can see, our call volume is returning to pre-pandemic levels. Our training, we're back to pre-pandemic training, obviously still following proper use of PPE and distancing, but it's nice to get everybody together for the training. In October, we had Fire Prevention Week, and it was very successful, albeit quite different. We couldn't do the open house, but staff came up with some innovative ideas. We were able to deliver smoke alarm information pamphlets throughout parts of the municipality. We ran a very busy and effective social media campaign. And we also had our advertising on a couple of local radio stations. One of the fun things that arrived in October was our new forcible entry prop, which was completely paid for by the province with their announcement earlier this year on the funding for fire departments when they announced the closing of the college. So the prop was delivered, and we completed our awareness training with the manufacturer. So we'll get some use out of that starting in the new year. Also, you'll see at the end of the report, I put in some updates for council on the new tanker, also on the status of the old tanker, and an update on the fire siren. So if anyone has any questions, I'll certainly try and answer them.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Any questions for Bill at this time? Councillor Tam?
Bill, thanks for the update. And could you just maybe give us a timeline on the siren, like something that would work for you and staff that we can say we're comfortable with?
I gave a date the first time and I missed it, so I'm a little hesitant to give another date. But in all seriousness, I do want to see this brought back to council as soon as we can. But it just it hasn't happened yet. We have drafted up a draft questionnaire that would be circulated. That has to be shared with other staff members, make sure we're capturing all of the right questions. Once we get that, it shouldn't take too long to run the tests that we want to run. But I'll certainly try my best to get it back as soon as I can. And hopefully that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, as long as I know I have people asking me, and I told them October 18th, and so it'd be nice to have something that we're comfortable with when we know that it can be taken care of.
Yeah, I apologize for the, I stuck my neck out and said October 18th, and quite honestly, the switchover with dispatch has certainly consumed a lot more of my time than I anticipated. But I certainly haven't shoved the fire siren too far out of my sight, but I will get it back, and I'll get something as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Bill at this time? Okay. recommendation here that the Council Municipality of West Perth accepts the September-October 2021 activity report as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Rose and Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
The next report is from the Recreation and Facilities Manager. So Darcy, I will let you take the show.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. My report is an activity report for the last month. Just to highlight a few things, the capital projects are starting to come to a close, and we're real happy about that. We're working with the community center roof and siding project. The roof is pretty much complete and siding is getting worked on. We are looking to give the RFQ for the security for the municipal office, as well as our facility rentals. We've had a nice busy month. Things are starting to come together. We've had a tournament this weekend, which was nice to be back in that, as well as we have a tournament on the upcoming weekend. So a lot of exciting stuff going on with the programs. The Cooking with Class program ran really well and got some good media attention. The youth center has started up, and we've been happy with the participants for that. I think that's about it. I will gladly take any of your questions.
All right, thank you, Darcy. Any questions for Darcy? Stranger coming into town from outside of town, if you drive by the arena, you would think we must have had a tornado or something go through. We've got the inside all exposed.
Yeah, we should be spray foaming on Tuesday, and that'll close everything off on the upper deck. So
yeah, no, it's good. It's good. If there's no questions for Darcy, I do have a recommendation here that the Council Municipality of West Perth accepts the Recreation and Facilities Monthly Activity Report as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Marshall and Deputy Mayor Wright. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next item then is from the Treasurer, and it's the West Perth Consolidated Statements as of October 31st, 2021. And Wendy is on there. So Wendy, I'll turn it over to you.
So not much more to add to this report other than what's stated in there. Things are looking favorable. But if there's any questions, I'd gladly take them.
Okay, is there, just before there's any questions, Wendy, is there anything there at all that you'd like to highlight?
Definitely there's going to be some carry forward capital projects. So we're probably looking favorable because some of the projects we're not able to meet. So that's going to show in why we're being favorable. But other than that, things are looking pretty good.
Good. Okay. Questions for Wendy? Don't see anybody's hand up. All right, so we have a motion here then, or a recommendation that Municipality of West Perth accepts the West Perth Consolidated Statements as of October 31st, 2021 report as information. Mover and seconder for that, please. Murray Rose and Councillor Matheson. All those in favor? That is carried. Very good. Thanks, Wendy. The Sabo Bayfield Conservation proposed budget and municipal levy is the next item. Mike, are you the spokesman for that?
Sure.
Or Wendy? I'm not sure. Wendy's going to stay on here, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I can speak to it. The first time it came in, it was at 3.96, and then it went back and it came in at 2.43. Overall, it's less than what the proposed was over the 2 years. So 2.43, and I believe we're up with our apportionment with the assessment growth. We are what are we? 2.9 or something like that. We're up a little bit more than the 2.53, but that's what it came in at, and that's what we agreed to send out to the councils.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Wendy,
I
I
was
didn't
just trying
mean,
to catch up here. Sorry.
yeah, no, Wendy, do you have anything further? I didn't mean to cut you off. I see now that the report was actually from you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna highlight that there's a slight increase to to this year from them. But thanks, Councillor Tam, for covering that report for me.
So at
fun.
one of the previous meetings, we had indicated they were going to have somebody from conservation authorities come and talk to us. Is that still your wish? Seeing what we have here tonight, do you still want somebody from Asavo Bayfield to come to a council meeting and talk to us? I'm getting blank stares. It's your call. Nicholas, go ahead.
Well, it's not egregious, the increase. So I would say maybe not this time.
Yeah.
It's just my thought.
Well, that's why I was asking, it's relatively in line. And if we have no major concerns, do we want to have them come or save it for another time when we've got some issues? So is that kind of the general feeling from council, that we don't necessarily have to have them come and talk to us? Nobody's saying otherwise. I see a few heads nodding. So I'll take it that that's the direction we'll take, that we won't have them come at this time. I do have a recommendation here, though, that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth accepts the Asavo Bayfield Conservation proposed 2022 budget and municipal levies report as information. Mover and seconder for that motion, please. Councillor Tam and Councillor Bell. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So we have some correspondence. And the first one is from Hydro One, a letter regarding class environmental assessment. And I'm going to look to Dan if he wants to maybe just highlight it or speak about it.
Thank you. It's just correspondence we all received. So myself and Susanna, we've sent it around for internal referrals. Basically, they're just notifying us that they're going to do an ESA and they're going to be replacing the wood hydro poles.
Yeah.
So
I've never, I don't recall them informing us of that before, that they were going to replace them, but it is on a main line that goes through there. So I don't know. The other item then is from CUPE, and I don't know, that was a fairly lengthy piece of correspondence. I don't know if anybody has any comments on that at this time. Okay, Councillor Matheson.
I realize that we're not CUPE union, but as there concerns from our staff on the performance of the OMERS pension.
I guess maybe Jeff would be the logical one to look at for that comment, maybe.
Yeah, thanks. This wasn't on my radar, and I think in terms of overall performance, OMERS has been, I think, performing pretty consistently with the other competitive or the other similar funds. And in my connections with other municipalities, in my connections through the province, in the work we're doing with AMO, this has not come up as an issue. So, and certainly it hasn't come up from the staff at West Perth. I think we'd always like to see better performance in the fund, but it is what it is. So no, I wouldn't say that staff are bringing it to your attention for any action.
Any other questions on that? Okay, not seeing any. The recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth accepts the correspondence as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Marshall, Councillor Rose, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We have council reports, the Mitchell Business Improvement Area, the minutes from November the 1st. Councillor Bell, you want to highlight that?
I think it's pretty straightforward, but what I do want to highlight is the same day as the parade, the same Friday, we've moved our annual street party to that night. And I think we have a few things starting to roll into downtown so that when people are done with the parade, hopefully they continue to shop downtown. Like the Coca-Cola truck is coming. There's some food vendors coming. The Listowel radio station, well, I think it's 100.1, is going to be down. The ranch will be downtown for 3 or 4 hours over that time period to interact with businesses and stuff. So it's shaping up to be a good day. We're going to partner with the Lions and use our advertising budget to help them with their parade, and they're going to partner with us. So something to look forward to.
Very good. Any questions for Councillor Bell? If I remember right, last year, Councillor Bell, the parade was about 10 o'clock when it was over.
Yeah, and by the sounds of it, they've maybe fixed that little hiccup that they had last year in their parade route, and they're promising us that because we're only going to run till 8 o'clock, I do believe, 5 till 8 with our stuff downtown. So hopefully, let's hope so.
Okay. All right, moving on then, Sabo Bayfield Conservation, the Board of Directors meeting on November the 18th hasn't happened, has it, Mike? Not yet.
This week.
Yeah, it's this week. Anything you want to report on that?
No, if there's any questions, I'd bring them forward or try and answer them. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Mike? Don't see any. And that's Wednesday, right? This Wednesday? Thursday. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. If there's no questions, then recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth accepts the reports from councillors as information. Mover and seconder for that. Don't want everybody to jump at once. Councillor Harold and Councillor Murray. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We have a few bylaws here to deal with. Dan, do you want to speak about the one bylaw at this time before we get into them?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council. Before you today is draft bylaw 85/2021, so the COVID-19 vaccination policy. We'd like to request Council entertain two amendments to that policy. And if you give me a second, we'll throw it up on screen and I'll show you exactly what the two amendments are. Relatively minor in our opinion, but I'll get them up on screen. So section 6 and section 7 are what we're looking to add. So as you can see, section 6 would require that any new hires would be provided, would be required to provide proof of being fully immunized, and that would be part of the condition of hiring. And section 7 is just a follow-up for review. And section 7 is stipulating that we shall bring this policy back to review to council on March 21st, 2022. And that corresponds with the meeting schedule for council. And the Ontario Open Plan is actually the next day is March 22nd is when they're proposing to lift all of the health acts and anything if everything goes to plan. And additionally, just 7.2 there is just saying that we can bring this policy back to council at any time prior to that. So hopefully those are two minor reviews that are acceptable to council. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Okay, if you can unshare the screen, I can see if there's any questions. Anybody have any questions with regards to that particular bylaw? Okay, so we do have the zoning bylaw 253.
Dean has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Dean, go ahead.
Your worship, through you. So my question is regarding the amendment for the new hires. Does that, I'm unclear what that means. Does that mean that the new hires have to have full immunization? Otherwise, they're not considered for the position? Or does that mean once a candidate is hired, they have to provide that proof? Could someone clarify that for me, please?
It would be the latter that you proposed there. So they would be the selected candidate. They'd be sent an offer, and Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, sorry. And that would be a condition of their employment, is that they're providing proof of immunization, much like a satisfactory criminal record check is a requirement of employment.
Okay.
Supplemental question, your worship, if I may. So what if they don't provide that proof, then what happens next? Is the offer for employment withdrawn, or what happens next?
It's a good question, and we would disclose. So early on in our interview process, we disclose, and we have been since we knew we would be having a policy. We've been disclosing in our invitation to interview that the municipality is entertaining a policy, but of course we didn't know what the policy was going to have in it. We have other requirements that we disclose at that time, such as the requirement for a police records check and a vulnerable check in certain instances, and we disclose those matters through the invitation to interview. And we do it, as I said, as a matter of transparency and disclosure. So we would anticipate, if council approves this policy, when we invite candidates to interview, we would be advising them that the municipality has a policy, and the policy includes a clause that requires all new hires to be fully vaccinated, in a definition of full vaccination. And they could presumably still go through the interview and try to negotiate a date after the expiry of the policy or not, but that policy, we've included it intentionally to make that a condition of new employees. It's very common in the policies across municipalities.
Okay, anybody else? So we do have the bylaws here. Zoning bylaw 253 is the Dihon.
Sorry, your mayor.
Oh, sorry, I missed something.
I would just ask for council to make a motion if they were in favor of this amendment, just so it's very clear.
Oh,
for
okay.
us. We have a draft one we can propose.
Okay, yep. There's the motion on your screen right now, the COVID-19 vaccination or vaccine policy attached to draft bylaw 85, 2021 be amended to add section 6, new hires, and section 7, review as proposed. And you would like a mover and seconder for that. I take it, and you have to give me back my screen so I can see. Do we have a mover and seconder for that amendment? Councillor Murray and Councillor Matheson. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, then back to this, the bylaws again then. Zoning bylaw Z253 is Dihon bylaw to amend bylaw 100, 1998. And bylaw 85 is a bylaw to adopt the COVID-19 vaccine policy. Bylaw 86 is a bylaw to appoint a community emergency management coordinator and alternates for the municipality of West Perth. And bylaw 87 is a bylaw to amend bylaw 72, 2019, which also is with regards to the emergency management plan. Any questions on any of that? Okay, the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth gives first, second, and third and final reading to zoning bylaw Z253, 2021, bylaws 85, 86, and 87, 2021, this 15th day of November. Do we have mover and seconder for that, please? Counselor Marshall and a seconder, Counselor Matheson. Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? The motion is carried. Under announcements and upcoming events, just a reminder of Municipal Day this Wednesday. And then a special council meeting, corporate implementation plan and capital budget presentations on the 22nd of November. And then we get into December and our regular meeting is on the 6th and then again on the 20th. And just a reminder that the office will be closed on the 24th at noon and will open again on January the 3rd at 8:30 in the morning. Any notices of motion? Don't see any. Any other business that anybody wants to bring up at this time? So we do have a closed session motion will be that the Council Municipality of West Perth proceeds into closed session at 7:44 for the purpose of addressing a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the corporation. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Rose and seconded by Councillor Murray. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Okay, so it'll take us